Hey, how is everyone doing? So today we're going to be going into creating a chocolate box. My name is Donald Joyner and I live down in the Orlando, Florida area. And sorry the screen is sideways. It was straight a minute ago, but when I changed over, it went sideways again. So I'll have to just tilt my head, I guess. But like I said, my name is Donald. I'm down in the Orlando, Florida area, and I'm a member of ICES, and I have my own business, CBC Designs, and I make and sell cake decorating equipment. Some of y'all have seen me at the show, and I specialize in lace mats and cutters and different things. So, yes, Bonnie, I'm standing on the wall. So what we're going to do today is we are going to make a chocolate box. I hope everybody can see this. Get the camera turned. What this is a chocolate box, and it's made out of modeling chocolate. So what I've done is I've made it very simple for everyone, and we're going to learn all the steps to making this chocolate box here together. Hi everyone, hi Mercy from Nigeria. So to make this chocolate box, I've created a set of cutters that will make each individual piece for us. We have the top and the bottom piece, which will be this cutter. We have the piece for the frame on the top, which will be these two pieces. And then we have this piece, which we are going to use actually as a form to form the middle part of the box for the walls. So before we get started in making that box, what I want to work on real quick, we want to make our detail pieces for the box lid. And this involves royal icing and edible lace. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you real quick how I make the edible lace piece. So what we want to do is we want to take a mat. Now this is a needlepoint lace mat that I designed. And we're going to take a little bit of edible lace mix. Now this edible lace mix is one that I sell on my website. It is by Crystal Candy. And when you make it, it comes as a powder and it's already pearlized. Don't know if you can really see this very well. It's already pearlized. When you make it, it becomes like a thick paste. And all you do is you just mix it with water and a little bit of glycerin. Comes in a package like this. This is the name of it, Crystal Candy Signature Blend Crystal Lace Mix. You want to take the mix and you just want to put it on your mat. And you just want to spread it around. It really doesn't take a lot of lace mix. Just fill in the entire mold. Just make sure that all the cavities are filled in the mold. Once you have the mold completely filled, what you want to do is you want to take a flat edge and just wipe off any excess going from one side to the other. And that will wipe off any excess that you may have on the mat. You can then clean up the edges of the mat also with your straight edge. And put that back. You can save that and use it again later on your next lace piece. And then what you want to do is you want to take this and you want to either let it air dry 6 to 8 hours at room temperature, or you can pop it in the oven for 20 minutes at 200 degrees and it should be completely dry. If it's completely dry, it'll come right out of the mat. Now these mats are 100% food grade silicone. So if you have any questions about that, they are made with 100% food grade silicone, and everything will be edible once you get through making your lace pieces. So I'm going to set that one aside. Wipe off my mat. So once it is dry and you've dried it in the oven, you have your mat like this. What you want to do is you just want to take the corner of the mat, take the corner of the lace piece, get it started on the edge, flip it over, and then gently pull the mat away from the lace piece. Once you've done that, you have a piece of needlepoint lace, and there's roughly about 11 holes per inch in this edible lace, so you can get a lot of fine detail with it. So once you've done that, we're going to be working on this rose detail, which is made with royal icing. And all you want to do is you just want to have your colors of royal icing. I have the pink, red, and green here so I can get the different colors. What I'd like to do is, if you purchase this mat, with the mat comes a template that you get. It's the exact same size as the mat, as your lace piece. So what you can do is you can go from there and you can just draw in any design that you would like, which I've done pre-ahead on here. And to get your royal icing effect, if you'll take it and put it in a binder page protector, lay your lace piece on top, and line up the dots, then all you have to do is you're basically doing a dot-to-dot design. Now if you'll notice, I don't know if you can really tell on this piece, but I have some solid dots and then I have some X's. The X's are just where I wanted the green to go, or you could use a colored marker and color in your colors as you'd like. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start and one of the reasons you want to use a page protector with this process is you can pipe directly on a silicone mat, but the royal icing will not stick to the acetate that's being used as the page protector. So then all you have to do is just go in and pipe your dots, just like you're filling in regular needlepoint. So while we're doing this, if you have any questions, I'm going to try to see the screen to see if I can answer any comments. Thank you everybody for joining in. I know I'm holding the bag funny, but I'm just trying to see where everything is going. So you just want to continue piping to fill in your pattern. Takes a little bit of while, but this is something that you can actually do ahead of time. You're watching TV, make your lace pieces, make your royal icing, draw out some patterns during the day. You have them ready to go. And then you just sit there and pipe, because the good thing is you're actually piping this on a piece of edible lace. And so it's going to keep. Doesn't matter what you do to it. You're actually piping the royal icing into the dots of the lace piece. So it actually will remain flexible. So even if you want to do this and then turn it and pipe it on the, place it on the side of a cake, you could do that, because it will remain flexible and it will bend around the edge of the cake. And if anybody's wondering what the royal icing mix that I'm using is, it is from More Than Cake with Jackie. The royal mix. And the consistency is what was made directly out of the recipe. I didn't add any extra water to it or anything. So I wanted to go ahead and do this part first so we could get into the next part of actually building the box while this is drying up some. So that was pretty quick. Now we're just going to pipe in the green. And you really don't, I mean, I do have the pattern here. But you could just go in and pipe in however you would like to pipe. I know y'all probably can't see the dots very well, but I can see them. So now we have that piped. I did forget to mention one thing. Once you pipe it, you can actually pick it up and you can see from the bottom that you've actually piped in the little holes. So this will actually stay flexible when it dries. But what we have is our design, and I forgot to mention this part, I apologize. We have our design that's going to go on top of here with the block. So what you want to do is just to make sure your design fits, you can lay this on your lace piece, just like this, to make sure it fits. Once this is dry, we will go back and draw around it with an edible marker, and then we'll cut it out to fit. That way it'll fit exactly inside our frame. The difference between the mat and the lace is this is edible lace and it was made with the mat itself. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. And as I showed you before, you can see the pattern is still on here. That's a good thing about doing it on the acetate on the page protector is it will peel right off, but it doesn't damage your design at all. And then you can just wipe these off and use them again. But the good thing is, like I said, you can just sit there. If you get the mat, this pattern actually comes with the mat, so you can just make copies and doodle patterns all day long. If you happen to need some inspiration, Tundi has a couple of really great books on needlepoint design. So this one has a lot of needlepoint designs in it that you can use. She's got different recipes for cookies, but also she has the patterns in here if you would like to follow them. So lots of good things in this one. And then this one combines some needlepoint design with some Hungarian folk art flower work, which you can also use with the royal icing, and you can combine them together to create different ideas. So there's some little inspiration for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get started on working on the chocolate box itself. Now what I've done here is I've used modeling chocolate, and the modeling chocolate I'm actually using is by Saraceno. So it's very good, it's very pliable, it holds its shape. You can start working on it at, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, and if you need to do something to it later in the day, you can come back to it, say if you need to go cook dinner or whatever, and it won't harden up like that until it's set out for a while, but it'll hold its shape. So to make the mat, we're going to use these cutters again. We're going to use some rulers. These are size guides. They have a thickness on them, and this is about 3/16 of an inch thick. You can use a rolling pin. And we're also going to use a lace mat. Now, I don't know if you can tell on the side of this box, but it actually has an embossed design. And I'm going to show you how to get that embossed design on the side of the box. So first thing you want to do is you want to get out your modeling paste. Bonnie, the book's author, is Tunde, and I have those two books on my website, cbcdesignsonline.com. So what you want to do is when you pull it out of the package, of course, like with any modeling chocolate, you're going to need to work it a little bit. You can pop it in the microwave for about 5 to 10 seconds just to get it warm. And we're just going to knead it until we get it soft. Good thing about this paste is it becomes very pliable, so you have a lot of working time with it. It doesn't dry up real quick like a, say if you were going to use fondant, which you could, it just won't crack on you. That's why I prefer to make these out of modeling chocolate. Plus, then it makes the entire box edible. So we're just going to work this until we get it nice and pliable so we can roll it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this into a log. Should be good work. And we want to roll this out till it's about a little over 14 inches long. And the reason we want to be that large is because of the circumference of the box itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my pin, or rolling pin, I'm going to start rolling this flat. Now the reason I'm using the size guides is because I want to make sure that it stays the same thickness all the way around. And you only actually need the width of this piece to be roughly about 1.5 inches wide, but I like to go larger than that to give more room to play with. Now with using these side guides, as you can see as I'm rolling along, that it is actually making the modeling paste the same thickness all the way across. So once we have it, and we have it about the size that we need it and the length that we need it, what we want to do is we want to take a mat. Now this is an edible lace mat by Crystal Candy also. But what you want to do, you can choose whatever design you like. You just want to lay the mat on top of the piece of chocolate, and then you want to take your rolling pin again and start from one end and applying gentle pressure. Just work all the way down the mat till you get to the other side. One more turn. Then you just lift the mat off and you'll get your design. So of course the harder you press, the deeper the design will be. If you'd like, I can do it one more time on the back side just to show. You can see the design will be a little deeper, just depending on how hard you press into the mat. So now that we have this piece, the good thing about this is you can actually leave this here until we're ready to work with it, because we want to take a little more modeling chocolate and we want to create our top and base pieces for that chocolate box. So when we make the chocolate box, we're going to use this piece as the top and bottom part of the box. And I'm going to roll them out to the same size as I did the wall pieces. And the reason you want to write about this thickness to 1/4 of an inch is just for the stability of the box to hold its shape. Anything thinner than that, it will have a harder time standing up and supporting itself. Oh, how we love to knead fondant, modeling chocolate, and gum paste. The good thing about modeling chocolate, though, is even if I have those cracks in there, when I go to roll it out, the oils will help move it back in. So I'm just going to take my rolling pin, start rolling it out. So what I want to try to do is I actually want to try to create a piece large enough that I can cut all my pieces at once. If you can't do that, it's okay. Just go through the entire process again. Now you could keep kneading this, or like I said, pop it in the microwave for about 5 to 10 seconds to soften it up. But a lot of times I like to knead it by hand because I don't know if you can tell, it gets these little cracks in it, which I think makes it look more authentic. You could do a wood grain with it. So I'm going to go to my size guides now just to make sure that I'm getting everything the same thickness. And the good thing about the modeling chocolate is it does set up pretty quick, but it still stays pliable. So now that I have that rolled out, I'm just going to take my cutters and I'm going to cut out my pieces. That's one. Two. This is going to be for the decoration on top. Now, when you go to cut this piece, so here we have, I'll just remove the excess real quick. We have the top and bottom pieces, our lid and our base. And then we have this piece here. Now what we're going to do here is we're actually going to take this piece before we do anything else, and we're going to take the smaller cutter and we're going to create a frame. So it's made so that if you line up the edges of this to the edge of your previous cut, and then you press down in it, it will actually cut out that center piece. Then you just take your finger and pop that center piece out. Now you could save this later for a different ornate piece, to do something different on top of the box if you would like. But then what it leaves you this piece, but then you just pop off the cutter. And so there we have our piece, which will create our frame on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set those aside. Now you can do with the bottom and the top of the page. I'm going to clean off this board just a second. This is the smooth side from where we were rolling it, and then this is the side from it being on the mat itself. I like to stick with the smooth sides because you're actually going to see the edge of this. So what you want to do first is we want to set this up so that our chocolate box walls are going to set up while we finish working on the lid pieces. So what you want to do is you're going to need this piece, which comes with the cutters. It's the former. You want to take a ruler, and these size guides actually have a ruler on them. So just want to take and mark. And you want it to be about 1.5 inches. You can go a little larger if you want to. The original box is about 1 inch, 1.5 inches to 3/4, just depending, because sometimes you might want to put something different in them. So with this one, let's just go ahead and go to 2 inches on this one. So the reason you want to mark this and you want to do your embossing first is so then when you come back and you cut your pieces, your embossed work is already there. And the good thing about modeling chocolate also is that you can turn around and knead that all up and make another one. So just mark on both sides so you make sure you have the same height all the way across. Remove all the excess. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our former piece here And we're just going to take the modeling chocolate and we're going to wrap it around. Now it will be larger than the piece. So what I like to do is I like to go, and then when you get to the edge here where it would overlap, if you'll just take a straight edge and you will cut down, but cut down at an angle through both pieces. When you remove this, it's at an angle, and when you remove the inside piece, it's at an angle. So when you go back to put them back together, I need to cut that a little more. They match up for a nice seam. Then all you have to do is just take your finger and put it together. But the reason you want to use the former is to keep it from bending and holding out of shape while you're creating the rest of the box. So by the time we get through working on the lid of our box and the decorations, this will be set enough that we can just glue it all together. So then you just want to take that and set it aside. But now you have a nice finish. So now we have our base, and then we have our top piece. So what we're going to do now is, this piece will be a little flexible because of the way it's cut. You can make these ahead of time, straighten them out a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to take our piece we originally did. Remember, this is going to sit inside here like this. So we want to take our frame, the inside cut out of the frame. Now you can do this before you actually do the piping. Take an edible marker and just go around and mark on the edible lace your pattern. Pull it off, and then you can see your pattern. And then you can just take scissors and you can cut this edible lace with scissors. And it doesn't really have to be perfect on the cut on the edge because you're going to cover it up with the other piece of modeling chocolate. As you can see, we piped this earlier and it is still flexible, and the needlepoint design is not popping off even though they're basically dry. And of course, you can save these pieces to pipe something else on or use later for something else. So once you have this done, take my piece and I'll center this in the center. Now if you want to, you can take your marker again and just place it on there so you can and do a light indentation, just so you will know where it will sit on the pattern. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of water and a paintbrush, and I'm just going to wet this area. Now with the modeling chocolate and the oils, if you'll just keep going back and forth across this, it creates a tacky, sticky surface. And then all you have to do is take your pattern, place it on there, and then just press it down. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll just go around just the edge. And don't worry about the water because you won't be able to tell when it dries on the modeling chocolate if you go over the edges a little bit. You just want to get it tacky so that when you take your frame piece and set it on here, lightly press it down. Then you have your frame. Now another neat trick that you could do is if you're going to build this out of, say, gingerbread, you could make it out of gingerbread and then you could pour isomalts inside here, and the isomalt will give it like a glass look, more like a picture frame, so that you have that. It won't affect the edible lace or the royal icing. So that's just another trick if you wanted to make this box or a similar size type box out of, say, gingerbread or cookie. So now we have that done. We're going to go back to our base and our walls. So for this next part, I'm going to leave this piece in here for the moment. And I want to bring out the detail in the design on the side of the box. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a little edible gold dust. I'm going to put a glove on and I'm just going to take my finger and dip it in the gold dust. Then I'm going to hold the chocolate and I'm just going to take my finger and run across the top of it. And as you do that, you can see that it's picking up the design of the mat that we use to emboss in the chocolate. So if when you're doing this, if you will keep the ring inside for support, it'll help the piece from bending. And if you get to the edge, you can take the edge and you can just press it together with your finger. If you rub it, it will seal together. So you just want to go all the way around the edge. Now you want to do this before you assemble the box, because if you don't, then your chances of getting the gold everywhere else will be greatly enhanced. Because not to mention you'll get it all over you, the rest of your design. So now what I want to do is I want to take the base of the box and then I want to put a little water on it also. Just in from the edge. Like I said, if you do go over the edge, it's not going to really matter. What you're trying just to do is create a tacky surface on the modeling chocolate. But once it dries, you won't be able to tell that you had the water on there. So then what you want to do is you want to take your base, you want to pull out your frame, pick it up, and then just set it on the base. You can take it and put it in the top, and just to make sure that you have the right shape that you're going for there. And then you have the walls attached to the base of your box. So then all you have to do is just set the top on. So now with the tops, you can do different designs. This is the same design that I've been doing. We'll let that settle out. Now the longer the modeling chocolate sits, of course, the harder that it will get. But if you wanted to, I'm just taking the scraps of the modeling chocolate that I had before. And I'm going to roll it out again. This should just give you some different ideas for the texture on the box and the lids. You can use your guides again. Now this is the same mat that we actually used to make the lace piece, the edible lace piece with. But you can also use it as an embossing mat. Same process, just lay it on your modeling chocolate. Roll it across, pull it off. Then you have the design in your modeling chocolate. And you can cut it out however you want to cut it out. You can cut it out at angles, straight across. But this will give you a different idea, because then you can take this and then you could pipe your design directly into the holes of the lid, and then you have a different lid for your box. Now you can do the exact same thing with a different lace mat. You could do the sides of the box where it would be just a solid, and then you could do the base and the bottom. So this is more of a, I guess I would call an old world keepsake box. Take a different lace mat, same process, just roll across it. Pull it off, and then you have, this one is a floral pattern. Now with this design, if you wanted to, you could take royal icing because it actually has borders, raised borders on it, and you could do in a flood effect on this in royal icing. Or you can once again just take the gold and go across the top of it with your finger, just to bring out the design on it and give that washed look. For your box. Thank you. Yes, that's the whole trick or idea, is just to make it easy on everybody. You can sit there and you can make, you know, several of these boxes, and you can use them as cake toppers, or, you know, just as a chocolate box, say when Valentine comes around. They will keep. Very easy to make, very easy to use, lots of simple ideas. This was the centerpiece we took earlier. You could set that on top of there. You could do some kind of decoration on here. You could use say the filler flower mold from Nicholas Lodge and Flower Pro. Punch out some little filler flowers, do a little bouquet on top. Then you have a little bouquet of flowers. You could rub a little gold across them to tie everything together. But lots of different ideas there for that. So now what we want to do, so we want to finish off our chocolate box. Now we have our design, we have our lid, we have our base. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask, and if I can't get to them now, I will go back and read the comments and comment on everything. So now that you have this, we want to decorate it up. And as I said, this is my Old World box. So we're just going to take this box. It's the original one I had. Now, push that seam back together. We'll start with this one. So then you want to just do what you can to fill in. You can put anything you would like in these boxes. You can put truffles in them, flowers in them. What I'm doing here is I actually thought this would be a cute little idea. These are just meringues that I made. And you just fill the box with meringues. Then you have a sweet little gift for somebody. So a lot of people that are shut in right now, and so I know like a lot of people might like a little gift, maybe some elderly, or even just somebody just stuck at home that can't get out and is having a rough time. Just make cute little gifts, because then you could just fill them with something like the meringues. Or if you're going to do it for a gift, say, maybe to put on top of a cake or something like that. This is our other box that we just made, the lid. You can do different things. You can fill it with items. because I made this one just a little deeper than I made the other one. I'm actually just going to take some modeling chocolate. I'm going to place it in the bottom to give a little height. I'm going to put some meringues in here. I'm going to take a piece of edible lace. It's just a piece of edible lace that I made earlier. Drape it over like this, or you can put it in there like it's vintage lace. Here we have a string of pearls that we're just going to put here. These were just made out of modeling paste or gum paste fondant, whatever you'd like to use. And then we're just going to add a few brooches. And this one actually is a mold that I have. Both of these are molds that I have. And this one actually is a mold. And what I did here is I filled both these molds with isomalt. These are the two molds. Filled them with isomalt. Then I painted them with a little alcohol and edible luster. And then for this one, what I did was I printed out an edible image to the size that would fit in the molds of my grandmother and put that right there in the box as a little keepsake box. So then if you have the lid on, you could leave the lid ajar. So that's a nice little gift that you could give to somebody that's in the family or somebody that you know very well and you have access to a few things. Or for even for a wedding. You could do something old, something new, something blue. So there you have it. Very easy way to make little chocolate boxes to fill with goodies. And once the modeling chocolate sets up really good, they'll just stay there for a while. No problem at all. You can spray them with a little shellac, edible shellac if you would like, just to preserve them a little longer. So I don't know if y'all have any questions, but thank you very much. That's the demo I had for you today. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Like I said, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I will go back and be glad to look at them. And all the stuff that I used, the cutters, the rulers, the mats, you can all find that, the Saraceno paste, you can all find that on my website at cbcdesignsonline.com. All right, bye everyone.